Good evening, everybody. Matrix here, and here's my watch list for April 15th. Okay, as you can see, we have the futures here. We are at 29.1275. Okay, so where does that put us? Going back to 4 o'clock at the close on the 12th, the closing price here is at 29.12. So we are gapping up by 75 cents on the future, which correlates to the SPY at where we closed exactly. So let's bring in the SPY right here. Okay. So this is where we closed. So this is currently, that's where the price is, around the 290s area. Okay. We had a very strong day on Friday. We gapped up, dipped, and ran. I've marked off this 289.75 area here. This is the support line that I'll be looking for out the gates. If the market dips, I'll be looking for it to hold the 289.75 as support area number 1. And then support area number 2, I'll be looking at 289.50. And then finally, support number 3, I'll be looking at 289.25 area. Okay. Zooming out just a tad more. It does, overall, it does look like the market is very strong right now. And I'm just going to have to wait and see, right? I mean, we closed at a level which is a pretty key resistance. This is the first significant lower high on the SPY on Friday. And look at the volume. We didn't have much volume, okay? The high of the day on SPY, 290.50. Going to the daily chart, though, I mean, if I'm going to zoom out a little bit, it looks like we do want to test the market overall might want this all-time high. So we are currently inside this channel now. Okay, this channel, this high and low channel. Okay, you see me mark off the 288.92. We took a while to break out of this area, and now that we're through, and we have a buyer's candle, perhaps tomorrow, since the SPY is closing around its highs, I am expecting it to gap up. And then from the gap up, look for the dip and the rip. The opening price of Friday is 290. So we could find some support there. Where did I say support here? Okay, 290. It's too close, to be quite honest. Right? If it gaps up, then I'll be using 290, which is essentially the VWAP as well. But then we also have 3 other pretty nice, I wouldn't say key, just intraday support levels, with the 289.75 being tested quite a few times. So I am expecting the 289.75 to hold up a little bit. Okay. Now, will we be able to break out of Friday's highs? We don't know, but if we do, the next target area here would be the high of this candle on October 5th. No, here, October 4th. Let's see. Yeah, this is a nice area. It looks like it's 291.25 next. And then we have a high of days next, right? 293. So slow grind up. I'm not going to rule out the possibility of it dumping, okay? Because we have ran a long way. Now, it might take a few more days or one more week to come back up to these all-time highs here at the 294 area. And from there, this would be the double top, and then we might get a pull or not. I don't know. Okay, so but tomorrow I'm just looking for a dip and rip, just to follow the trend so far. Like, that's the trend. And on Friday we had a very nice buyer's day, so expecting continuation. Looking at the watch list, first up we have Disney. Now, Disney was a monster on Friday. Okay, look at this volume. It made 5.78 times its relative volume. And it ripped on news that it's coming out with a new streaming service. Now, obviously the reaction is very good. The stock closed on its highs, a little bit above 130. I am anticipating a gap up tomorrow because, or a run up in the pre-market, and we'll see how this high of day test out, which is the 130.90, 131. Okay, I'm gonna mark that off. As far as support goes, As far as support goes, I have marked off in my notes here 129, which is the first immediate support right there. Mark that off here. We also have 128.5. 128.5 right there. Now, I expect 128.5 to hold because 128.5 is pretty key. I mean, looking back on Friday, I mean, that's where it tested, failed, like it broke through, came down, profit take real quick. This is where it retraced and kind of failed, and then came back up, fail again, and then break out and hold. Now, with a reclaim of this 128.50, this is a key support in my opinion. So I'm gonna watch that. But if that fails too, then we should be looking at the 127.70s area. Okay, so right about there. Okay. So some areas of support here, looking for continuation day. Now, overall, this stock is very overextended, as you can see the gap. So it might not even break out and run. It really depends on how long it stays above this 131. If it does break out, if it only stays for like I don't know, 15-20 minutes, then it's not really a confirmed breakout. It really has to stay up there and hold and make like something like a flat consolidation, something this type of action for me to confirm that it's a breakout, and then I will long it above there. If it dips fast, I'm going to look for a quick bounce for a scalp and scalp it back up. As far as the average true range go on Disney, it's 2.53. So we should be able to capture about $2 off this move here. I really like Disney. It's got a big float. The spread should be nice and tight here. Let's take a look at the float here real quick. It's 1.79 billion. Okay, so it's a very heavily traded stock. The average volume is usually 11 million, so very liquid as well. And I am expecting the spread to be nice and tight, maybe about 4 cents, 5 cents. And this is going to be on my main watch. Now, with that said, because Disney ran so much, the sympathy play was Netflix coming down and getting hit because they're basically aiming for Netflix as a direct competitor, right? Now, as we can see, Netflix here on the 5-minute chart is super weak. We have a massive kill candle on the volume here. We have snapped the 360. So now the 360 becomes a very key resistance area. Excuse me, pardon my yawning here. It's been a long day at work here. So that becomes a very key resistance area. As you can see here, Netflix has just been trading in the sideways channel, right? This is not even considered as a breakout because it only held one day and then it came right back down. So overall, on the daily chart, I mean, we were in the sideways channel for a few months here from the 370s to the 360s. And then finally now 360 snap. We are sitting at a very key support of around the 350s area, right? So what I want to see, with the stock closing so weak, I do want to see a gap down. And what I want to see a gap down, open, cover pop back into this 350 area, okay? And then if it sells off from there, then good, I'll short it from there, okay? So I'm going to mark that off green. This is a key line. I want to see massive volume down through the 150. If it holds a little flat in the pre-market and it starts grinding up, I'll be looking for some resistance here at the 353 and 355. So let's take a look at 355 first, real quick. First of all, it's a key psychological hold number. Give or take, 355 is good. First of all, it's a key psychological hold number, right? On the daily chart, it confirms as a key resistance as well, I believe. So there's that 355, right? So there's some spots over here, some spots over here. So 355, very key. Watch that. Throughout the afternoon on Friday, it took a while. at around this 354 area for Netflix to break down, and eventually it did. It the price action looks to me kind of like algo selling, right? So it came down, came back up, sell some more, came back up, sell some more. Let's zoom in a little bit, right? Um, so the market makers kind of brought it up and try to pull it down right at this 354 area. So it leads me to believe that there is a seller here at the 354, and I do expect 354 to defend it a little bit as it comes back up. Now, right here in this area, this is basically the line in the sand for the short sellers, right? So if it starts holding 354, as you can see, it's also VWAP, then got to be very careful with your shorts here because it might squeeze. And with Netflix having $9.35 as an average shoe range, this thing can squeeze stupid, right? Okay, so look for a pop and drop if it grinds up around the pre-market. Okay, looking at this 356.50 level as well. Pretty clear. Oh, did I save Disney earlier? I didn't save Disney earlier. Oh well. And then of course, I don't know if this holds water here. This 352.50. I guess it does because it's a key psychological number, 352.50, but it's 2 points away, right? So if it gaps down, I'm looking for the gap down mainly, and perhaps my target here. I'm not going to be greedy. I'll just take it down to the prior lows here at 342.50, right? Okay, so it looks like it does what it has. That's Netflix. I'm going to save these lines real quick here. Sorry. Netflix, NFLX. Perfect. Okay. So that's Netflix and Disney. Next up, we have BBBY, the bane of my existence. I've been trying to short this for the last 2 days. Eventually, on Friday, I gave up around this area where it held so strong, right? I tried this because of this earnings reaction. It sold off a lot, and then it went on SSR, grinded up a little bit, came back down, and then still on SSR, grinded up, and then came back down. Tomorrow, SSR is going to be off. Okay, and I see this as a pretty key sign for me to hammer it. To be quite honest, I think people want to hammer it. I don't think people want to buy this stock. I mean, looking at this thing, there is no real buying here. I mean, if it was buying, then it would just shoot up. We are looking at a very key resistance of 1825 area where it topped out on Friday. So let's mark that off real quick for you so you guys can see. Okay. So I am anticipating this 1820, 1825 area. Okay. To hold it down. This is 18.9. So we are coming into a very big resistance zone right here. We have about 20 cents of resistance zone, and until it can get back up and over this resistance zone, I still think the stock is a piece of shit, to be quite honest. I don't really care if it closed over its 9 EMA. The 9 EMA is it's pretty sporadic. I mean, looking at this, yeah, it followed it pretty well here, and then it followed it pretty well here, but like right now, this little action, I don't know. I don't know if I can use it as any sort of a guide. So I'm just going to ignore it and just pay attention to the levels because chart levels is what we trade off of at Trick Trades. So definitely watching this resistance area, looking for a pop and drop. As you can see on Friday, that's where it sold off. And we could bring it all the way back down to, well, here's my first target, 1770s. And then perhaps test it even some more and bring it back down to the lows, well, 1750s. The stock has an average true range of 80 cents, so looking for a nice dollar here or 80 cents with a shitty company and bad fundamentals, news catalyst. I do like to keep this stock on watch here, and the SSR turning off as well. So And take a look at that. Let's take a look at this. Meh, maybe. Like that's a pretty sharp bounce, but overall the 2 days we've snapped an uptrend as well. So we'll see. It's just bear flagging. Can it get above 1850? Highly doubt it. Really highly doubt it. Like maybe tomorrow it'll squeeze first, and then Tuesday it'll dump. We'll see. Okay, so BBBY, LYFT. I'm still watching LYFT. LYFT, the daily chart I don't use much. I usually use the 60-minute chart on LYFT because the stock is so new and fresh. This thing is following technical analysis to a T. That's why I trade it, and the volume is still good in my opinion. As you can see, Friday it sold off hard, made like a double bottom, and then it started coming back up. Because it was Friday, a lot of people are holding this short or have been shorting it the whole week. But from what I've heard on social media, LYFT has a pretty high borrowing rate. So on Friday, I guess people are covering here, causing this little squeeze back up because they don't want to hold over the weekend because of how expensive the borrowing fees are. So that could be a possible reason. I want to load up some lines here on LYFT. So let's load the LYFT drawings here. I currently still have a little bit of share short from my swing on Wednesday. However, the shares that I have is so insignificant right now. I have like, let me tell you what I have right now. I have 13 shares right now left on this stock on the swing short. And because of my broker, there is no borrowing fee, so I wasn't even worried about that. If you are into shorting stocks and you don't care for paying borrowing fees, definitely look up my broker. The link is in the video description below. Yeah, I have 13 shares left from the average price of 63.24. So long ways to go until it hits my average price. But I do think tomorrow the stock is going to try to sell off again. Because we're starting a new week. Overall, I do think this stock is a piece of shit. But because of the squeeze action, we'll have to see. Some bulls might see this as bullish and might try to buy this back up and see if it can get back up to the next key level at around 64 area right here. Also the 50 EMA. Right, so anything can happen on the stock. The $61, I guess I'll hold it to the 61 on my swing shares, right? If it comes back up to the 61 and rejects, then I will actually add to my position because I'm so far away from my entry price. It's actually pretty safe. So I want to see this 61 confirm, make a lower high here, and then I'll add back into my position and see what it does, okay? So keeping an eye on LYFT, still looking at some very key price levels here. The $60.30 is very key, as it was Thursday's lows, I believe. No, yeah, Thursday's lows, and then we also have a key level here, which we're sitting right up on. It's the low of Wednesday. So we're sitting a little bit above it. I want to see it open and gap down under it and then trade under this level. As you can see, the 59.75 area I've marked off too. So yeah, and then if you guys can see here on my screen, we have it's using the same levels basically because they still play very well. Okay, so this 61 is a line in the sand for the short sellers. I believe if it gets back above and hold, then it's going to squeeze, test this 61.75 and perhaps this 62.25 as well. I basically held through all of this from Wednesday, and yeah, still holding 13 shares. And that's basically it for now on LYFT. Finally, we have ROKU as another watch. ROKU I totally miss. ROKU has been actually been a very good trader for the past few days. Every time it popped and dropped, popped and dropped. I mean, as you can see, it has came under the $60 mark, which is very key. On Friday, it tried again above 60, but it failed the breakout, right? You can see it failed very miserably too. Like it literally held there for a few minutes, not even, and then just failed right back down. So 60 is very key. I'm also looking at the 58 mark here and 57. So taking a look at 57 on Friday, it wasn't able to get back above after it got under it. Okay. Maybe it got above a little bit, like 10, 20 cents. Oh, not even, like 11 cents above 57. So 57 area, very key. We have a nice resistance area. 57 and a half is what I'm watching next. And then obviously the 58 over under. 58 over under, about 10 cents, right? So right here, zoom out a little bit, you'll see this level is 58. Pretty key. Okay, so 3 levels of resistance I'm watching. It has sold off a lot, though, even though it closed pretty weak. So what I do want to see is a gap down. A gap down. We have a major support here at the 56 area, and it went as far down as 55.80s, 55.90s, right? The overall goal, though, is to bring it back down to here around the 54.50 area. Yeah, where the earnings broke out, and let's see what it does from here. From here, I'm pretty sure it's going to defend and bounce the 54.40. So we still have a little bit more room to the downside here, but as you can see on Friday, it made higher highs here. It started bouncing off this 56. So it might not happen tomorrow. Got to be very wary about this 57 though. I mean, if it breaks out and starts holding above this 57, I'm actually going to disregard this 57 and a half, because I think it's going to squeeze straight up to 58. It's this thing can run. It can really run. The average true range for the stock is $3.89. So be very careful about that. Definitely lots of possibilities in the stock. Very volatile. We'll have to see what it does. Okay, so I'm watching the 58, the 56, and the 57. See what it does pre-market, and I'll decide from there. Okay, so that's basically my watch list this evening. There are a lot of other plays that I wrote down, but I don't want to go through them. To be quite honest, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 more tickers that I want to talk about, but there really is no way that I can trade that many tickers anyways. Want to make a quick note. Earnings report before market open tomorrow. We have APHA, APHA. Okay, it's a weak company, lower price stock, but it has a very big float. So expect the spread to be nice and tight. The average true range for the stock here is only 40 cents though. Okay. However, I do expect the spread to be nice and tight. So the risk can be kept at the very minimal. Overall, looking at this daily chart here, if I zoom all the way back out, this is basically it. You can see that for the past 2.5 months, we've been in kind of like a range motion here. So I think the earnings report is going to be very interesting. Okay, see what it does on this wedge. We have, this is a pretty bullish pennant, but if you look back to from where it's IPO'd, right? Bullish pennant on the short term here, but a bear flag on the long term chart here. So definitely a nice watch here. I'm not going to trade it, just going to watch it for sure. It's going to be an interesting study chart. Goldman Sachs is announcing earnings tomorrow as well. Basically, the earnings season is kicking off with these major banks. Goldman Sachs, I might or might not watch. The average true range for the stock is $3.94. Okay, so it can move a few dollars, and I do expect the spread to be nice and tight on such a well-known name with a big trader here. We are sitting right underneath major resistance at around this 210 area. So they're announcing earnings tomorrow. It'll definitely have a reaction around this $210 area. So definitely an interesting watch. Citigroup, average true range of $1.34. Okay, I don't have the Citigroup chart here, and my broker is on breakout, but they are announcing earnings as well. And then we have Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab's is announcing earnings as well tomorrow. So this is pretty interesting. I mean, looking at the daily chart here, uh, we've had a nice pop in the beginning of the year, and then basically start falling into the downtrend. So really interesting to see what happens tomorrow on the earnings. We have a nice downward channel. Very, very key channel, actually. You can see it. I don't know how I would draw it. I would draw it like that, maybe, right? Interesting price action to study on, though. So keeping these on side watches. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys out bright and early tomorrow. Ooh, I do want to mention Lulu. Lululemon. I can't bring up the chart for you here because it's you know what? Let me see if I can bring it up on FinViz. Lulu is also on the side watch here. Because my broker is on server update, but I want you guys to take a look at Lulu here on this chart. It's got a nice, it's about to break out, right? The volume is not there yet, but once it breaks out the 170 and starts holding, it's gonna rip. I do like this chart. After the earnings, it dipped bottom and then it started uptrending. You can see this little uptrend line over here. And yeah, I do like it for a long play on Lulu, looking for the breakout there. I think it's going to squeeze from here. I believe this double top, people shorted it, brought it back down, and then the shorts piled in. Now it's about to squeeze again. So watch for Lulu tomorrow to break out if the volume comes in. Okay, that's my watch list. Have a great evening. See you guys tomorrow. Ciao.